Hello guys, it's Friday and it's time to have another bit of a midlife crisis. Hope everyone's keeping well. I've remembered to switch my mic on this time. Um, so last week I got my heads glued on. I've done all the little additional detail work. Here we go. We can't see. Nothing's happening. My camera's just died. We're going to have a great one tonight. I can see that. Okay, let me restart the camera. That's better. So yeah, we've shed for a bit of light on the matter. Wondering if this is going to be a bit laggy tonight, but yeah, we can see we put all the details onto our Primaris Space Wolves, and what I thought tonight, I'll be honest, I've still not done the backpacks yet for them. I've got those down here for a little bit, waiting to be done, but I figured we've had enough time painting blue armor and stuff up to now, so what I'm gonna do is actually focus on getting the basing done. Yeah, I'm sorry it's lagging a bit. I'm hoping that this has actually just sorted it out a bit better now. I've just restarted the camera. Is it looking any better? And moving my hands around, no, that is looking really laggy for me as well. Aha, I know. Let's get rid of that. So, yeah, is it still coming across laggy at the moment? A little better. Okay. We'll see how it goes. Ah, yes. What it is laggy on YouTube, is it? Or is it better now? So I'm trying a slightly different setup, so we'll see how this works. Okay. So I've got got a few bases here which I've already sprayed up, and what I'm trying to do is going to make some sort of snowy bases for our Space Wolves. So it goes in keeping with a theme I've got running through the entire Space Wolf army. But I suppose first thing I need to do is get them tunes on. So let me pop those on. There we go. Oh, I hope if I actually turn the audio on. So hopefully that's coming through loud and clear, but not drowning out my my rather boring voice. Okay, so I'm just looking at the lag on this at the moment. This is awful. Let's see what we can do. Sorry guys, bear with me. I'm just going to see what I can do to try and improve this. Okay, we'll see if that's any better. So, yeah, snowy bases. Now, one thing that I like when I read some of the lore about the space wolves is they talk about Fenris as having a few sort of isolated land masses and islands, and then the rest of it on a permafrost sort of base. So what I want to do is actually have that transition on my bases between dry land and frozen water. So technique that I like to use, I actually use sand. This is a pot of sort of modelling sand that I bought years ago. I actually used all that sand up a long time back, and I've actually found that the best sand to use for basing, or a good sand to use for basing, is very simply children's play sand. Get it really cheap at any, well, I got mine from Argos here in the UK, but I'm guessing Home Depot or any sort of similar store wherever you live will carry it, and actually found, you know, it's the same price for a 5 kilo bag of this as it is for a small pot. Of course, if you're lucky enough to live by the beach, then okay, my camera, I think, has just... Oh, that's really not helpful. Sorry guys, my camera's just keeled over. Yeah, my camera just seems to have died completely on me, so I'm just seeing if I can get it to restart. Haha, there we go, right. Okay, so it's now running directly in rather than using USB-C, so let's see if that stabilises it. I can't understand why I've got all this lag at the moment. It's not normally this bad. switch my mic back on. That's better. So yeah, certainly get this in, and I'm just going to let the excess hair sort of fall off. What I can do here at this point is look and see if I'm sort of missed any bits. Just add a little bit more PVA. We'll go dip and go. Doesn't matter if it's not quite to the edge. We're not just going to leave this looking like some Caribbean beach. So I'm just going to put my sand to one side, and I'm just going to give this a couple of moments just to dry in. Yeah, it's good just to check. So like I've got here, where I've not quite got exactly enough take it to the edge, I can just add a bit more PVA now. Re-add it. I'm actually looking to try and get some nice sort of interesting shapes, so I can get the that sort of snowy beach type effect. Right. So yeah, as always with these, there's a lot of sort of waiting around for things to happen, but if you know, if you're about, please comment in the chat. Love to know what you guys are up to, how you approach basing your miniatures as well. I'm always looking for new techniques. One thing I've been having a lot of fun with at the moment actually is, if any of you following me on the old Twitter, you'll know that the last few weeks I've been, last few days anyway, I've been working on some Death Guard Terminators, and I've got some really nice sort of bases on that using Nurgle's Rot and the sort of sand combination. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more glue into here. Now, one issue that I've had with sand bases in the past is I have a tendency to start sort of shedding everywhere, and you end up with sand absolutely everywhere. So what I'm doing is putting in way too much water. I've only got a bit of kitchen roll to get some out of there. Yes, I have. Beautiful. So I literally just want to water this down to make it into a bit more than a paste, but not a sort of paint type thing. So just mix this in. It looks absolutely manky, it really does. But this will then soak into the sand, and as I was saying at the beginning of the stream, this will then seal it all in, and literally drop that over the top. That'll dry in and seal it absolutely solid. So this does take a little bit of time to fully dry. What I do is I like to just sort of pop it onto a warm radiator and let it really leave it overnight to dry. So this is going to be a really odd odd stream if I move all these out now and never to be seen again. So what I'm going to do is just push these to the back, and anyone of a certain age who will remember a program called Blue Peter here in the UK. I've used to do loads of little sort of crafty projects, and instead of drying time, they'd always use the phrase, "Here's one I did earlier." So, as a homage to Blue Peter, here are the there's a set of bases that I did last night. So it's just had its second coat of the glue added. Actually, is it made? Does that really look like Weetabix? Ugh. That really does look like a really manky set of Weetabix. Oh dear. Right. Oh, I'm getting hungry now. Key. So I could pop my glue off. Now, done with that for the moment. Now, these bases are. I said, you know, we didn't want it to look like sand. I really want it to look like sort of frozen mud. So what I'm going to do is just use Rhinox hide here, and I'm just going to give all of this a coating with Rhinox hide. Now, something to consider when you're doing this: don't use your best brushes, because you will invariably end up getting some of the sand into your brush, and you really don't want to sort of knacker your expensive sort of sable brushes from painting brown onto sand. Okay, definitely feeling a jazz mood with the old music tonight, so lots of fun. Just watering down some of this Rhinox hide. It's nice. I actually find it's better to dab this on rather than brush it on. That way you can just get a good sort of even coverage. Make sure you've got everything well covered, and then it won't start sort of flicking off bits of sand everywhere. One thing that that it will do is, depending on how much of the second coat of paint, the second coat of PVA that you use, it's actually quite sort of absorbent and will just sort of suck the paint straight in, so you can end up getting through quite a lot doing this. What's nice about doing this using PVA rather than something like super glue, as we can see on this base here, I've got a load which has sort of come off around the side, and I can literally just with my nail scrape that off. So when we actually come to paint sort of the rims of this, we can have really nice sort of smooth rims on our bases. Actually really like this part of the miniature process. I think if you spend a long time on getting your miniatures up to a really high standard, you know, it really does make a difference if you just take that little bit of extra time just to get the bases done. But it doesn't. You don't need to sort of be that exact when making these, so you can't just kind of, yeah, as you yeah, as you keep going, just kind of nice and relaxed, chilled out. I think the soundtrack I got running today sort of matches that general vibe, to be honest, that I'm feeling right now. Been a long old week, difficult week, as they all seem to be at the moment, so yeah, bit of chill music, bit of painting, just sends me to my happy place. You've all been fairly quiet today on the chat. You know, feel free to say hi and ask any questions about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, or anything you like, really. It's nice to sort of have a little chat while we're doing this. So it's quite nice. I've been having a look through the Combat Patrol box for Space Wolves and looking at what to do next, and I can't. A bit undecided because I really do like the look of that the Invictus Warsuit. Certainly looks like a fun miniature. That one to have a go at, so quite looking forward to that. But I'm quite interested with the Reavers that are in there, because I've never painted Reavers. And looking at the set, you know, I can paint them up with the colours of the Hounds of Morkai. So rather than sort of standard Reavers, which really, looking at them for the tabletop, don't actually look that interesting to play, the Hounds of Morkai are a bit more of a sort of interesting little sub-faction within the Wolves, so quite tempted to go for those next. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to pay, you know, I might do a poll, actually. I might do a Twitter poll through this week. And yeah, we can take it from there. Okay, so I am getting really laggy video again. Right. Now while that's drying, the second half of this is actually to do the ice on these bases, and I found this superb product from Reeves, 3D Gloss Super Heavy Gel, and it actually dries as like a transparent varnish. So what I found is a lot of fun with this is using another one of my sort of old palettes here. Is actually mixing that in with a little bit of Drakenhof Nightshade, and I really do find that blue mixes in so nicely with it, and actually gives a really nice sort of frozen ice type look. I'm trying to keep one well in this palette just for doing this, because it gets absolutely caked in the stuff. And it really, what I found with it is it really doesn't need that much, so a couple of brushfuls on the bottom there, that is more than enough for what we're going to mix up now. Let's pop that back. And here's the thing with this this stuff: under no circumstances use a brush, because it will absolutely destroy any brushes. So I have somewhere, and I can't spot it. There we go. I use a little palette knife to mix it all in. It's covered in dog hair. Beautiful. So literally just grab a bit of this out. You can see how I've used a fair whack of it now. Put it in there, and then just mix that in. So what we don't want to do is have it completely smooth. We want to kind of leave these blue streaks, so it's got sort of lighter and darker blue throughout. And then just using a knife, I'm going to stick our finger straight into the mud. So I'm just going to lay this down and just take it up there to the edge, so it's so the frozen water look takes us right up to the edge of our muddy side of the base. Doesn't matter that the sand's not quite dry yet. For this, I found that this stuff won't absorb. You get off. Yeah, it won't absorb too much. So just move it around. Always reminds me of the sort of hard royal icing that you get on Christmas cakes. I always remember my nan making up this amazing Christmas cake, putting on this royal icing on it that was so hard it'd crack your teeth, and you'd need an Astartes chainsaw just to carve the thing. Yeah, you carve the cake, you don't cut it. Hey dear. There we go, so I just left some nice sort of texture on there, and it's now the old waiting game while this stuff dries. And yeah, it's not the fastest of drying medium. Take that much out. So it's not the fastest of drying, I think, because I'm getting to the end of this pot. It is actually starting to solidify now, so I'm probably gonna have to jump on the old Amazon, as my local hobby and craft stores are all shut still at the moment. There we go. That's that one. Trying to avoid getting it onto the sand itself like I've done up here, but again, it doesn't really matter. It just looks like a bit of sort of frost has now sort of settled. And as far as how much of this stuff I'm putting on, it's probably maybe a couple of mil deep. So it builds up to a nice sort of layer and actually sits fairly sort of standard with the fairly sort of similar sort of height with the sand. Okay, now I've cheated and pre-mixed some of this up. There we go, just for speed. See on there now, this is now drying quite nicely. Sometimes it's nice just to get sort of a bit of some with like a darker blue in, and just have that sort of mix of colours. If you've ever looked at sort of a frozen lake, you know, it's not all one solid colour, and that's what I quite like about using the wash inside the medium. You can get that sort of kind of, well, you'll see once it's dry, because this dries really clear. You can then see the sort of patterns, which is why it's important to get a good, I mean, you don't need to get a perfect covering. You can see the white on here is it's not perfect, but why it is important to give it that sort of spraying, either with a white primer like I've done here, or you can just paint them straight out with whatever your favourite sort of white hobby paint is. So before it dries too much, I'm just gonna move it around. And again, I just like to pull the texture so that it comes up, and the direction of all the strokes are all sort of coming up into the into the mud, and this is to make it look like that as it was frozen. You know, this was a very large body of water, so it would have had its sort of currents even as it's frozen. I've seen some fantastic photos recently of the frozen sea and sort of sea spray freezing around the UK, which is something we very, very rarely see, and it makes some fantastic photos. There we go. So this is quite a easy process. Now the problem that I've got here is that I need to let this dry, and this one really does take about 24 hours to dry. Minimum 12 hours, really. Give it 24 hours for it to dry absolutely rock solid. So once again, with our 1980s Blue Peter reference, here's some that I've done earlier. And you can see I've got various sort of quantities of the blue in. Maybe if we just take a sort of closer look, can I get that to focus? There we go. You can see we've got those sort of blue streaks going through it. We've also got the direction of travel, but it's got this lovely sort of glossy surface just as the light sort of catches it there, which just makes really nice, interesting texture. So, let's get the camera back. There we go. So the first thing I want to do with these, before I even think about anything else, is that the brown mud looks quite sort of stark against the frosted base. So what I'm going to do is just dry brush it with a little bit of good old Corax white. Give that a good shaking, and I want to, yeah, Citadel small dry brush. I find this is quite useful for this type of stuff. It holds the paint well, but it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't complain too much. It can put up with a lot of hard work. So get a nice sort of quantity of paint initially onto it, so I can just really get that embedded in the Brussels. Bristles. Yeah. Not Brussels, right, in the bristles. And then I'm going to really just sort of smush that in until I get, yeah, you see that little bit coming off onto my finger, but most of it is now gone. And very, very lightly, all I want to do is just basically give this the impression of a little bit of frost. So very, very lightly here now, just to catch the very tips. There we go, and then any exposed mud, once we finish doing everything else, will look, yeah, look like it's nicely sort of frozen. Now I could make some very cheesy references at this stage, but I won't. And what's nice about doing this, what I like about this, is it just helps lead these sort of sandy parts into the ice that we've put on. Yeah, I mean, you can put on as much or as little of this as you want. Just keep going until you're sort of happy with the general sort of coverage that you see. It's just starting to look quite nice. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So, right, dry brushing down. These are sort of almost ready for our Marines to take the final position. And actually, this is quite a good time to actually glue them on. So I'm going to do that now, because what I want to do is just put a few extra little finishing details on these bases, but it's good if our Marines are in place. See, these things have been blue tacked for so long, this is going to take me an age now. I should have cleared all this blue tack off before I started. Oh well. The old tip of using, I've got a handy helper just off camera here who's gonna do this for me. There we go. fact, it's good at this point just to have a quick check round the boots, because can sometimes miss. What's that? So we've got our old Sarge here looking suitably menacing. And as far as glue goes for this, I like to use Gorilla Super Glue Gel. I found the plastic glue, because you're sticking the miniature, so I'm just shaking this pot of glue. It's quite an old pot of glue, so it needs a bit of encouragement. But yeah, what's nice, well, yeah, the plastic glue won't stick or keep a solid sort of bond with the base if you're not gluing plastic to plastic. So what I'm going to do is have him just about around. What's nice about the gel, super glue gel here, or Gorilla Glue gel, is that it tends to dry tacky fairly rapidly, and once you can get them standing, it's all right. You can just leave them for a bit. This where the miniatures won't start leaning, so just finding something like a pot of glue that will angle just a little bit to keep them more sort of upright can just sort of help at this stage. There we go. There we go, Mr. Angry himself. I don't know where he's going. No, don't fall down. Very quiet, you lot all on the chat tonight, so I don't know what's going off. I don't know if there's football or something on. There we go, Lemmy's looking good, and finally, still think he looks like Jedward. I'm never going to get that image out of my mind with him. Yeah, I'll go there. So our Space Marine Hunter Pack is really, Space Wolves Hunter Pack is really starting to look the business now. So it's often fun at this stage to put a few other little bits on the bases, and the most obvious thing to start adding is things like rocks. And to do that, Sorry, reach round to my bits box. Yeah, depending on what I'm doing, I'll either use rocks, I might use bits of offcut sprues, the odd arm here and there. But what I think I'm going to do for these, I've got some aquarium gravel here, and this is the bizarre hobby where you have to paint rocks so they look like rocks. Weird, but there we go. So what I'm going to do is just try and sort of pick out a few pieces, not too large, and I'm looking for them where they've got kind of a bit of a flattened side, but just some nice sort of textured. Yeah, I think we'll do that. So what I will do now, I'm just looking around for a little pot to pop them in once I've painted them. Sorry, bear with me. Aha, that'll do. Right, don't tell missus, but I'm using my best Tupperware. Okay. Of course, if she is actually watching, I'm in a lot of trouble now. So, to paint the rocks, I like to start off by giving them a covering of Corvus Black, which of course is up on my shelf up here, so just give me a moment. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Yeah. Good old Citadel Corvus Black. More like Corvus Grey, really. And I just want to get sort of quite a good sort of splattering of this on these rocks, so I'll just paint it in sort of straight from the pot. Use my tweezers here. It doesn't have to be perfect, this, but it's good just to get a good darken them down. Right, this one doesn't want to play nice, does it? If it's not careful, it'll go back in the fish tank. What do you want to do, little rock? Do you want to be covered in fish poop, or set forever immortalised? There we go. Yeah, I'd love to know what you guys use for your bases, whether you you know, use rocks, sand, yeah, whatever else you use. I do also use like Citadel textures, and I'm just sort of having a little nose round at some of the Vallejo, I don't know how you pronounce it. Some of the other texture paints that are out there. Again, I'm sort of with my Death Guard force. What I really want is a really good sort of iron rust. The Citadel Nylic Oxide is good at giving that sort of those sort of runoff colours. But what I want is something that's actually sort of textured and actually gives that sort of rust textured as well as that rusty iron colour. So yeah, if you guys have got any recommendations, I'd love to know. Just pop them down in the comments box. So I'm just going to give those just a moment or two to dry, and yeah, what will I do? I'm going to grab a quick drink. And actually, I've been putting off too long. Let's get these backpacks out. I can at least make a start on them. And of course, yeah, I'm only going to find 4, aren't I? Come on, I know you're in there somewhere. There we go. Yeah, those rocks are almost dry, but let's just get these prepped. Of course, what I've realised is I've got another 5 of these intercessor marines, so I think that's just going to be on my general sort of hobby time through the week to get those painted up to complete the full 10. It's interesting that in the the Space Wolves box you get 10 intercessors, but I noticed in the Dark Angels Combat Patrol set, which has just come up, you only get 5, which seems a bit of a shame, really. It's I think it's not quite got the value that the it's not quite got the value that the Space Wolves give you. Although you do get that really nice sort of Primaris Contempora Dreadnought. That is a really tasty new model. Talking of new models, just wondering, have you guys seen the new land speeders that have come out? Land speeder storms for Primaris land speeders. So I had really high expectations of these. You know, first new pattern land speeder in 10,000 years. And it feels like 10,000 years since the last one that GW released as a miniature. So I was really, you know, sort of looking forward to some new sort of sculpts and stuff, but I must admit, not overly impressed. They just seem big and boxy, and yes, I know they've got to be slightly bigger to fit the your super-sized Primaris Marines, but I think they could have done a better job on those, if I'm totally honest. So I still think I prefer the original sort of land speeder design, and I wouldn't mind having a sort of swift claw pack of land speeders at some point in with my Space Wolves. But yeah, 22 quid versus for the original ones to 40 odd quid for the new ones. Yeah, pardon me if I'm not going to be rushing out to pick one up. Okay, those are on, still waiting for those rocks to dry, so let me grab a pot of the Fang and start with that initial sort of coat, as I do for all my Space Marines and my weirdly shaped bit of blue tech there to act as a stand. Okay, grab that boy. What I'll do, just to sort of show you the completion, is for next week, once I've got these backpacks properly painted up and stuck on, I'll just show you how our final pack looks. Whoa, how much paint have I just put on that? Luckily, I've put so much water in that, it's just going to come. We've got enough paint on that one to do all of them. What an idiot. This is one of the forgiving things with this paint. If you do have it slightly over watered down, if you do put too much on, as it dries it'll sort of settle in and you won't actually lose too much detail, but avoidance is better. So it's best not to put too much on, as I go and do exactly that once again. Oh, it's definitely got that Friday feeling today. Okay. It's going on a bit blue tack on the back there, yeah. That's alright, I can just tidy that up later on. Before I do the coat of rust grey on it. Okay. Of course, what I should have done was check to make sure I'm not flicking blue paint all over the all over the rocks there. Yeah, definitely need to just tidy these up a little bit. It's fine, mate. It's just a rough undercoat for them. It's better just to pull on the old asthma inhaler there, so stop me sounding like Darth Vader on a bad day. place now. Those rocks are starting to look reasonably dried, so we can go back to our basing while these sort of dry down a bit for us. So yeah, so this is sort of all going out live on Twitch and YouTube, but it will sort of remain indefinitely on the YouTube channel. And yeah, I'd just be quite interested actually if anyone's sort of watching this sort of on rerun, if you feel that what I ought to do is edit and do, you know, sort of a condensed, I don't want to say highlights reel, because I don't think there's a lot of highlights of me painting kids' toys, but a sort of condensed view of these videos, maybe 15 minutes or so in length. Let me know, yeah, in the chat or in the comments, and I'll just spend a bit of time doing the editing on them. Must admit, I've not done any editing on the on my painting Indomitus set for a while. I've actually got about 4 videos now ready to edit, so I've got to get off my my lazy behind and actually get doing that editing soon. Okay, right. Okay. Are those backpacks dry? Yep, our rocks are looking pretty good now. So they're fully dry. So what I'm going to do is give those a quick dry brush, and I'm just going to catch, I just want to catch the very edges of them with Mornfang Brown, and I'm stalling for time while I'm looking for it. There we go. Got the pot here. So again, back to our sort of dry brush. Just sort of load that up. Load that up with paint, wipe off the excess, and then using my rag that I've got beside here, just smoosh that until there's virtually no paint left on the brush. And then I'm literally just going to flip around each of these rocks, and I just want to catch out the edge. I have sort of used greys and stuff on these in the past, but I find that the certainly for snow bases, the black and the brown sit quite nicely together. If I'm doing sort of desert theme or wasteland, I'll often give it a hit over a second sort of light dry brush with something like Avalanche Sunset, just to yellow it slightly. But tonight we're just doing snow, so a bit of brown just to throw and make visible some of that lovely texture. Yeah, my fish don't know how good they get it with this gravel. So yeah, I mean, as always guys, you know, love to know what you're up to. If you're watching this on YouTube, you should be able to drop in the comments, so say hi, let me know where you're from. Let's just add a bit more paint to that now. lots of fun with these intercessors. Actually, it's been nice to do them over a period of time, rather than just sort of missioning through. Because normally when I'm painting out intercessors like this, it's just, sort of get it done, bash out the armor, bit of detailing, light, a few highlights, job done. Just try and mission them out as fast as possible. But yeah, it's been quite nice to take a little bit longer and just see how each of our stories have developed. It's got some really nice sort of detail on the surface, and I just want to get that just to jump a little bit more than it is doing. There we go. So brushes now sort of semi-cleaned. There we go. So again, I'm going to go with the super glue. Well, I would do if I know what I've done with it. There we go. Thrown it onto the floor. Oh, let's not start that. Last week was a nightmare. I'd dropping everything. Okay. And I do just like to play about with the rocks first before I actually sort of finally stick them in place. I like them to sort of look fairly natural and just sort of to fit in with any sort of curves and stuff that I've put on there. On a lemmy here. Okay, this is where I'm going to glue a rock to my finger and have to explain that one away to the family when I'm next allowed out into the general sort of wilds of the outdoors. Why you got a rock stuck to you? Well, what happened was, while I was painting boulders for Lemmy, yeah, never going to wash that one. Quite like this. I've got to get super glue on my hands here. There we go. No, don't like that. Not quite done what I wanted it to do. That'll be alright. Why I like using rocks on the bases is just to give everything just a little bit more height, and just really to make the whole thing look just that little bit more interesting. yeah, too flat and it just looks a bit dull, but likewise too much, and it's just a little on the sort of crazy side. Good old Mr. Angry himself. I wonder what has got this chap so. Let's see if we can see him properly there. He's very worked up about something. Okay. There we go. Got another big boulder here. Do I want to actually use this? Yeah. That will look quite nice there. There we go. Right, so I'm just going to... Oh, I missed one. That's why I got a boulder left over. Actually, you know what? What's going on there? I'm going to leave. Having just said that I don't like flat bases, I think I'm just going to leave Jedwood there with a sort of fairly plain base. You don't... Again, it's nice just to keep variety, keep things looking different, and yeah, quite like how these have all sort of panning out now. Now what I want to do is just clean up the edges of these bases because they're a bit manky now. Yeah, the sort of acrylic gloss varnish type stuff, it's really nice because it does, again, just scrape off, and I've had it a few times where I've done a base, come back to it the next day and just thought, oh, it looks awful, and actually just being able to peel it off. So it's, yeah, spending a little bit of time. Oh no, super glued my finger. Of course, Mr. Angry would have the most messed up bit of base, wouldn't he? Old Sarge there. Okay, so the next little bit of what do you call it? In fact, I'm going to give those a moment to settle, because what I'm going to do is actually put some tufts of grass on there, but I just want those rocks to settle first. So, quick hit with the old Null Oil over those Space Marine power packs. And where's my... There we go. Love this brush, but absolutely ruined. It's only really good now for this kind of thing. So, and again, as I did sort of back when I first started with the intercessors, straight out the pot, quite a heavy wash, and then this will get this will then get overpainted, and that will just give the whole thing a nice nice little amount of shadow, quick and easy, and I don't have to come back and pin wash everything beyond maybe a little, one or two little highlights. Highlights, that's the wrong word I suppose for doing a wash. Low lights maybe? Don't know. There's got to be a phrase for it, but... yeah, these are definitely looking suitably grimdark. Yeah, I think it's going to be a case of getting a new pot of Nuln oil fairly shortly. Just about run out of this. I've actually got a fair whack of Lana medium now, so it is sort of slightly watered down anyway. It's not quite as neat as it was. Oh no! Quite as neat as it was when I first got this pot. There we go. Quite some time now for all that to dry, but that's not a problem. I'll sort these out tomorrow. There we go. Right, power pack's done. So create a bit of space here. So, tufts is just the Citadel Midland tufts. When I first was looking at these, I thought it might be a bit too green, but what I like to do is once I've sort of put a few of these on, is then use and what we'll do right at the end of this is go for Valhallan Blizzard technical paint, which yeah is a nice sort of snow paint from GW. And I've seen various people using various methods to get these off, and it tends to just make a mess for me, so I'll just kind of try and peel bits off. Let's give it a go with the tweezers and see where I can get it to work, or if it's just gonna... Yeah, there we go. sort of like to do is sort of think about how plants might actually survive in a land that's sort of frozen for most of the year, and so putting them sort of in lee of rocks, just to sort of try and add just that little bit of sort of little feeling of life. And with these, I really have found that the secret is less is more. Jedward, let's get a nice interesting sort of shape patch for him. Oh. Okay. These are sort of sticky back from GW, and I've never actually had a problem with them coming unstuck, so I've never felt the need to put additional glue, but you can add just like a little bit of PVA to it if you think, you know, if you're not happy with the way it's sticking. Okay. Right, Sarge. Yeah, leave Mr. Angry Pants with none on. Okay. I do like these. I mean, you can get, you know, it is cheaper if you just buy the flock and put it on, but I find there's so much messing about. This is just a really quick and very, very effective way of putting a little bit of shrubbage, insert Monty Python quote here, onto the bases. So, snow. Of course, this is the new pot. I've got an open pot already, so let me just grab that. I always fall into this trap of never fully finishing off one pot. Actually, that's not far off empty. And again, using a little sort of, this one's a bit more of a finer sort of palette knife. Use that to scrape out here, and what I'm looking at doing isn't covering everything in snow, but it's just putting in a few bits here and there. And I find that as this dries, it looks really, it actually looks fairly realistic. A little bit here around the plant. One of the things I found with the snow is that it's always good just to add a little bit to the rocks as well, because it'll just help with that sort of illusion of that, you know, this is blown in. So case of trying to find those areas where it's, you know, sort of at its most. Okay. Now, one of the keys for this is not to spread it like you're icing a cake, trying to get it flat, but what we want to do is get as much texture as possible on it. Right, I'm just going to be a bit cheeky and use the new pole when we come to do Sarge. So it's quite good fun if you just kind of put just a little bit on the grass tufts, just to sort of show that ice sort of embedded in. Really trying not to get it on Jedward himself, but okay. And what's quite nice with this actually is as it dries it does contract a bit, so as it that ice will start sort of showing through more, and it actually really adds to the effect. Putting on that additional bit of ice on there. Me with the mohawk. You can see just looking at the rock here, it's just sticking up slightly, so it's quite a nice effect is to try to just push some of this sort of snow texture actually under the rock, so it looks like it's got blown in there. Literally just very lightly sort of tapping it onto the rock area again. And this side. Right. Yeah. It's funny, when I first got this snow paint from GW and started using it, I was a bit annoyed, you know, I didn't think you got very much, but actually this pot has done, I think, probably upwards of about 40 Space Wolf bases, various sizes sort of over the last few months, so you know, it does, as long as you're not making it like 6 inches, you know, 6 inches deep. God, it's like proper snow. But yeah, as long as you're not making it sort of millimeters and millimeters deep, it actually will go a surprisingly long way. There we go. So we've got those rocks, about a bit of earth there. So I'm just going to try and push some of this under. It's almost like foam with stuff down there at the bottom. Let's just scrape that in. Desperate to avoid this looking like it's just Nurgle rot, but sort of a fine line between the right amount and too much. Okay. And yeah, like that other, like the medium bit we've used for the ice effect. It can take a few hours to dry fully, so you know, be careful when you're handling them sort of just after painting, and you need to give it plenty of time. Wow, I can't believe this pot has lasted. I actually thought this pot was empty, and I managed to do all of these intercessors. That's wicked, that is. So yeah, it just goes to show. I've got a little bit of snow up the back of his leg, but if you've ever been walking in snow, you'll know that that is always going to happen. There we go. Right. So let's get a closer look at these. Let's see if I can stop it. So yeah, so it's still looking very very glossy at the moment, and reflecting a lot of light. I'm just trying to see if I can get the lighting a bit better on here, and then cool. There we go. Right. So yeah, it's still reflecting a bit of the light here, but as you can see, I'm getting it into focus. That's now looking pretty darn good, even if I say so myself. I am very pleased. Looking at Sergeant there. Go on, focus. You can do it. There we go. He is one really angry man there. He's had his nose broken a few times looking at it. Really like the Space Wolves upgrade sprues as well. Some of the various sort of pack symbols, and having this three-dimensional sort of shoulder pack has really, I think it's really given the a nice, very nice dimension to these. Tribute to Lemmy. He's got his bullet on his shoulder. Lots of got his little stone symbol, and there he's got his little wolf tail sort of attached to his armor as well. So yeah, really happy with that. I think the only thing that I've got left to do now is just to edge these and finish off these backpacks. There we go. Yep, get those done, stuck on, but really this is now sort of a finished battle ready, tabletop ready wolf pack. Yeah, Space Wolves Hunters. Okay guys, well I think I know we'd still technically go for another 20 minutes, but I think I'm going to call it there for this evening. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. It's been an absolute pleasure as always, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Oh, yeah, keep a lookout on Twitter for the poll that I'll put out there to see what we do next out of the Combat Patrol Space Wolves box from GW, whether it's the Sons of Morkai Reavers or the Invictus Warsuit or even the Space Marine Space Wolf Lieutenant that I must admit I was having a look over that sprue yesterday. That is a really, really tasty looking miniature. So thanks very much, and till next time, stay safe, and yeah, thank you for watching. Bye for now.